ABC3 was one of the best things we had as kids. Just watch my video on Australian childhoods if you want to remember what I mean. And even though most of the shows they aired came from Canada, we still had our originals that became big hits back in the day. And you already know where this is going. So it's time to talk about Nowhere Boys, baby! Woo! You just know there was a huge amount of hype around the show when the studio decided to make the series finale an entire movie, until they unceremoniously bring it back because of money and take everything good away from it.
This is so much cancer that I can feel the tumors growing on my back.
But I'm not here to talk about the 2-season spin-off that has the same name for some reason. I'm here to talk about my boys Felix, Andy, Jake, and Sam, with the addition of Ellen, of course. So let's go! The show was about 4 boys going missing on a school excursion and getting transported to an alternate universe where they were never born, and also the repercussions when they eventually do return to their universe. Felix is basically the main character of this show, so I'll start by talking about him first. His brother Oscar is in a wheelchair, and it's revealed later in the first season that the reason is because they were climbing a tree, and Felix started teasing him for being scared. Oscar lost his balance and Felix couldn't hold on to him. He blames himself for the accident, as I'm sure anyone would, and it's all handled in a really mature way for an ABC3 show. The whole reason they ended up in the other universe was because Felix tried doing a magic unmaking spell to undo the accident, but in return the spell ended up unmaking them. And the whole time they were in the other universe, it was just one bad thing after another. They get attacked by wind, bees, crows, horrible CGI dogs who all turn out to be a restoring demon that ends up possessing multiple people.
Order must be restored.
An illness started affecting their mothers every time they went near them, which they later fixed with magic, obviously. And they also had to personally deal with the fact that they don't exist. As a kid, I always thought the magic and the awesome powers were the best thing about this show. But rewatching it as an adult, I realized the way these characters are written and the arcs they go through was really the best part. Jake had to deal with the fact that his father actually got to live the life he wanted because he never existed.
And then something got in your way.
Nothing got in my way. I had a dream and I made it happen.
Oof. And Felix got put into a similar situation because him never being born in that universe meant Oscar never had the accident. I can't even imagine how much those two situations would fuck someone up mentally, but I completely understand why Felix is a goth now.
Pretty anti-establishment of you, Andy. We'll make a goth of you yet.
This is the exact moment my emo phase started, by the way. I hold Dougie Baldwin and Gerard Way personally responsible. Can I just say real quick that as much as I am happy for him, it feels so wrong seeing him on Georgie and Mandy's first marriage.
As a special surprise, I've composed a Thanksgiving polka for accordion and turkey call.
Look how they mess with my boy.
His arc with Oscar finally ends up being resolved in season 2, by the way, and it's done in a really good way in my opinion. Sam had it the worst because his parents had another child with the same name who's dating his girlfriend. Dude literally got replaced. That's gotta fucking hurt. Granted, if I was his girlfriend, I wouldn't really miss him that much, to be honest.
Do you remember what day it is?
Friday?
It's our anniversary.
He goes through an arc where he learns that he has to treat his girlfriend Mia better by falling in love with her all over again, only to go back to treating her the exact same way, and then doing it again in the movie. Meanwhile, Andy started falling for the alternate version of Felix's best friend, Ellen, after saving her life, which creates a way too realistic dilemma between the two.
I was worried this whole love triangle thing had lost its weirdness.
They find an ally in one of the best characters of the show, Roland, who shows up as a cop in season 2, and many weird things happen regarding that. They also enlist the help of the town crazy lady, Phoebe, whose sister Alice disappeared after performing a spell to grant Phoebe magic 13 years before the show started. Alice got sent to a place called Negative Space, where she was forced to become the restoring demon that's been after them this entire time. When the boys finally managed to return to their universe after all the shit they had to go through, they accidentally brought Alice back with them, giving the next season the second most annoying villain in this show. Season 1 is realistically the peak of this show, man. I love how the serious topics are handled so goddamn realistically. I personally haven't had to hide from debt collectors showing up at my door because I'm broke, but I felt what Jake and his mum were feeling in that moment. I don't have a brother that had a horrible accident that I blame myself for, but I felt the regret with Felix. I definitely haven't fallen for the alternate version of one of my classmates' best friends that he's also in love with, but I felt what Andy was going through to some extent. With Sam, on the other hand, I can't even begin to imagine how it feels to get literally replaced in every way, man. Fucking hell. And I want to quickly give praise to literally every actor who had to play the exact opposite of what their original character was, because they do it so well, man. Especially Jim Russell, who plays 3 completely different characters in the span of only 2 seasons. And on that note, let's talk about Season 2 before this video becomes a lot longer than it needs to be. After returning home, the 4 Corps realized that they brought elemental powers back with them, as well as giving Oscar the power of spirit. He can't really do a lot other than see and draw things through magic, but he deserves it, so shut up. Jake creates an earthquake that helps them escape the most sensory overload-inducing press conference ever, and the group spend the rest of the day training their powers. Andy starts missing the alternate version of Ellen, so he finds a spell online to try and get back to the other universe and see her. Alice alternates it with her magic, which sends him to negative space in her place, and the group automatically become suspects in Andy's disappearance. Roland is the head detective on the case, and I will praise the skills of Jim Russell once again because he does such a good job of making you want to punch him in his smug fucking face.
We're gonna play this game, aren't we?
Felix figures out that Ellen is also a watermelon. Watermelon? Yes, he is a watermelon. Felix figures out that Ellen is also a water element like Andy, so they can use her as a conductor to talk to him, which is awkward to say the least. They also find a magic lair hidden inside the school, but I'm sure the person who created it wasn't important. It's revealed here that Andy has been sent to negative space, I spoiled that earlier, not sorry, with the physical manifestation of Order, who he decides to name Bear. And yes, he is named after Bear Grylls. I don't have enough time to mention every ongoing joke or storyline because this video would be like an hour, but I'll mention that Andy wouldn't shut up about Bear Grylls in the first season, so it makes perfect sense. Negative space is revealed to be the center of the multiverse, which requires a human consciousness to keep order in each universe as a restoring demon. Alice binds the group's magic to Phoebe, who can't control it. So the two of them decide to take Andy's place so he can finally come home and they can finally be together. And that's where Season 2 ends. Kinda shit last 2 episodes if you ask me, but it's better than the other piece of shit we won't talk about. This season is a bit of a downgrade from the first, but it still has a lot of strong elements to it. Ellen and Felix's relationship finally starts going somewhere after he basically led her on for 12 years, and the chemistry between Darcy McDonald and Dougie Baldwin is so genuine, man. This season also made me realize that as annoying as Andy is, he really is part of what holds the group together. I don't know what to say about Sam because he still didn't do a lot this season other than the body swap with Roland. My boy Rahat deserved better than this, damn it. There's an episode where they went back to the other universe to find Andy, and Jake's alternate father followed them through the portal home. Jake decided he wanted to spend one good day with the dad that actually pays attention to him. And of course, Bear sent down a restoring demon because he can't let anyone be happy, for fuck's sake. But this is the episode where I've really started to love Jake as a character, which is why I mentioned it. Alright, let's wrap this up by talking about the movie for however minutes. It's set a year after Season 2 and once again deals with another sadly realistic situation of friends drifting apart over a single year. Felix, Ellen and Oscar are still investigating the lair when they find a book of shadows hidden under the floorboards. Obviously, being the teenager that he is, Felix automatically wants to open it. He tries reaching out to the other 3 and they all ghost him. Been there, man. Andy fucking hates everyone except for alternate Ellen because he's become an egotist. Which we all would after seeing the entire multiverse, to be fair. And the only way Felix can get a hold of him is by calling his sister. They get into contact with the other 2 who are pretty much just focused on getting ready for life after high school, and they perform a spell to open the book. Things go about as well as they usually do, and Felix finds a separation spell. They perform said spell so they don't have to do magic together anymore. But of course, they also awakened an ancient demon. Mia finally breaks up with Sam after realizing he's exactly the same as before he disappeared, and forms a group with Ellen and Andy's sister Viv. The demon shows up at the school and introduces herself as Tegan before automatically giving Mia and Viv elemental powers as a way to stir things up with the boys. She visits Bear disguised as Andy and manages to lock him, Phoebe, and Alice away so they can't interfere. It takes the boys about 10 minutes to figure out what's happening, and they get their asses handed to them when they confront Tegan and the others. Ellen convinces Tegan to take the powers away from the other 2 so she could be a double agent for the group for all of 10 minutes. Andy finally realizes that Tegan is chaos and that they have to contact Bear. So they open a portal to negative space, but it closes with Sam being the only one inside. Hallelujah! They finally give him something to do! But not for another 5 minutes. For fuck's sake! Tegan attacks Ellen, and while threatening to burn the book, Felix realizes it's the only thing keeping her at bay. So of course she fucking destroys it immediately. I love you, Felix, but this is all your fault. She then possesses the boys' parents to use as weapons against them. But Felix's dad remains unaffected for some strange reason. Sam is stuck in negative space trying to find the others, and after creating a fireball, he realizes that if he thinks of something, it'll appear. So he creates a bridge so he can save Bear, Phoebe, and Alex. That's my boy, Sam! Oscar is stuck back at the house trying to use his powers and finally manages to. We don't find out what he's drawn until his dad interrupts him and recognizes the symbol he's drawn. That's right. Felix's dad created the lair, and it was his book of shadows they found.
You made this place.
He explains to the group that if they want to stop Tegan, they have to sacrifice their powers like he did at their age. Because even in Australia, that stupid fucking trope happened. Phoebe and Sam conveniently return for the final battle, which is pretty fucking disappointing if I'm being honest. Their parents attack them, so they almost immediately lock them in Phoebe's van. Then they start getting chased by horrible looking shadows while reciting their final spell before colour comes back into the world. And everything's okay now because Bear and Tegan are finally together in their own separate place. I guess negative space can go fuck itself, right? I will say that the group hug and deep conversations they have in the final scene is pretty much a perfect send-off for these characters I love so much. Sorry that you got brought back for the shitty spin-off Jake and Ellen, you really didn't deserve that. I like Angry Rice, but I've got to say, it's painfully obvious this is her first big acting gig.
No! Stop it! No! It's not fair!
To be fair, I wasn't much better myself when I first started.
Just get the fuck out of my room, I'm filming a video.
Sam is still getting the worst writing in this series, so no surprise there. Although he did have a 2-minute moment with his brothers that made me love him even more, the special little bean. I don't understand what they were trying to do with Andy in this movie, and that includes his haircut that I know everyone had in year 12, but still, it doesn't look right. But I honestly did like what they tried to do with Jake and Felix's characters, because they were actually acting like those characters, unlike Andy. I did hate the fact that they had to lose their powers at the end of the show, but at least they didn't kill them in a completely stupid way that ruins the ability to rewatch it. That's right, I'm talking about you, Sabrina, you fucking disappointment. And that does it for this retrospective / recap that didn't even cover everything. The whole show is free on iView anyway. Feel free to let me know what you thought of this video down in the comments below because I genuinely appreciate the criticism. As always, remember to like, subscribe, and not open a goddamn magic book you found under the floorboards for God's sake. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.